gosh. Muffin's experience has a level of time. The little spikes can take extra damage.
But he makes it through.
Wow. Don't save anywhere for it.
Oh! Muffin! Wilson! Wilson!
What are you doing? No! What are you doing?
Oh, no. Still. Oh! Health reach! Oh! Health reach! I'm saving him again!
I hope he remembers that top left keystone, because that's dash. That's huge.
Oh, he forgot it! He doesn't remember. Oh, no!
Good morning, everyone. Well, at least for me, it's morning. For a lot of you, it's probably the afternoon, or for one of our runners, OG, it is actually nighttime since he's on the whole other side of the planet to me. Welcome back to the Ori 2018 Randomizer Tournament. This match is between TheFlyingMarlin and og1764, a 1-2 match. We'll get more into that record in just a moment. On commentary, my name is Grimelios, and I'm joined by Sil. Hey, Sil.
Hello, everyone.
How are you today?
Pretty fine so far. I'm excited for some nice races coming up.
Yeah, we have like...
Yeah.
Sorry. You can
No.
finish your thought.
As this one is the first race of today, so let's see. We'll start off with a good one and go on with your thought now.
Yeah, absolutely. To give a little bit of background on the runners, as I said, this is a 1-2 match. The reason that matters is that this randomizer tournament has 5 rounds of Swiss, and you need a winning record 3-2 or better to advance to brackets. If you do the math, that means that one of Marlin and OG will definitely be out of bracket contention after this match, whoever loses. The other person still has a chance if they can win this match and their next one. So there are some stakes involved in this match. Does that sound correct to you, Sil?
Yes, because once you get to the critical point of 0-2, you have always the match point in your head with the pressure in mind to keep yourself in the tourney. And the runners here will have it for maybe 3 games now. So we'll see how that plays out for them.
Mm-hmm.
I see the race is almost starting.
Yeah.
Am I correct there? Okay.
You are correct. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Dedu, our wonderful restreamer, just getting these guys kicked off. As always, not a lot is going to happen in the first minute or two. We might get an interesting skill, but if so, both runners are going to get it. There's not going to be anything too much to differentiate them in the early game. While we're getting set up, though, a bit of trivia, which I find sort of amusing, that I want to share while we have a chance. First of all, from Marlin, this is his 2nd consecutive Ori race with someone whose name starts with OG, which is hilarious. This is og1764. His last match was against Richard, so that's just funny. Marlin, also owns the PS1 that was used during the Pepsi Man 2018 run the Pepsi Man run at SGDQ 2018, if anyone saw that. And I just thought that was an amusing fact.
What an honor.
Right. And more to the point about OG, he's sort of known in the community for having so many columns in his live split layout that his actual game feed takes up like a tiny fraction of his screen. Like if you saw his stream, you would think you're looking at like an Excel spreadsheet. It's so funny. More to the point on randomizer, though, OG really doesn't do any practice on standard clues at all. He pretty much only does master seeds, master being a much harder difficulty that can require some pretty insane tricks. And so this is something that OG is consistent about, only doing master as compared to other categories. But I, as always, wonder how it's going to inform his routing as we go.
Okay, back to the actual race. The first pickup was a map stone. The second one was a keystone, so left side could be possible if the runners find a second keystone in the next 2 pickups here, where both are checking.
Look at that sync, dude. That's so funny.
I call that an even race so far.
I would say so. Marlin waggling his mouse, just missed pulling the rock for a second. We got grenade. How interesting. What does Grenade suggest to you in the early game?
Depends on what the second pickup will be. It will be a Keystone, so of course the Charge Flame tree is the first thing that comes in my mind. Even though they're missing the wall interaction, but maybe it's behind the pickup, behind the wall there.
Right. Well, once these guys get access to this, well, there's Charge Flames. We have both, intended ways to break blue walls. Breaking blue walls is probably not going to be a problem this particular seed. Both runners dipping off to the right to get just an ability cell this time.
So, I guess the path will lead them to the wall jump tree there. Especially because they have the map stone, they can check the map pedestal down there too. And I don't even know how many pickups there will be, I think 5. But one of these 5 pickups, there has to be progression in sort of 2 keystones or wall interaction. I think even both, because I don't know if left side blades is in logic without wall. Okay, never mind, there's wall jump.
You were correct. Yeah, there were a lot of things that could have opened up, more pickups past those 5 or whatever that you mentioned. One of them is wall interaction. So wall interaction is going to open up this sort of left wall jump loop, whatever you want to call it. This pickup that OG on the right is about to get, this is always in logic. But the other 3 pickups, there are a number of things that can get you them. But in this case, wall jump is one of the skills that gets you access to them.
So OG is running around the wall jump loop. Is he going for the damage boost? Doesn't seem like it. And meanwhile, TheFlyingMarlin is down at the wall jump tree already, getting his first tree overall. Was just a, what was it, a keystone? Did I see it correctly? So nothing that much for his progression. The mega health will help, but Alt R and back to the beginning.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision that Marlin decided to go down to the wall jump tree rather than doing this loop that OG is doing. For example, I was about to say Marlin heading straight down to the wall jump tree. He got a keystone, but only 1 keystone rather than 2. If Marlin had 2 keystones, he could go into Spirit Caverns, which is a very dense area. OG got a second keystone around that loop, which means that going to Spirit Caverns is now in logic.
Meanwhile, Marlin is heading straight to the charge flame tree I mentioned earlier. Checking this plant, it's another map stone, and going straight to the tree again.
I don't know about you, Sil. I like seeing the early map stones. I mean, you never know when something valuable may or may not be on any particular map altar. But just having the map stones in your inventory reduces the chance that you have to backtrack to any particular one-off location.
Especially if you find them that early, as they do currently. So the higher progressive map stones are always more likely to come up later if the seed is evil.
So this is fascinating. Marlin, as I said, decided to beeline to trees. He beelined wall jump, then he beelined charge flame. Even though Marlin hasn't made that loop that OG did, and Marlin hasn't gone to Spirit Caverns, even though both are in logic. Marlin is now going to Blackroot Burrows, his eventual destination being the dash tree. So Marlin is going to get 3 trees and a clue quite a bit before his opponents. That may help him.
And meanwhile, OG is using his mega energy and mega health on a very smart way. He opened the 4 energy door on the right side to the Death Gauntlet and used his mega health to do the long swim at fake flippers, which have no progression this time, but from experience from earlier races, there could be something down there. But not this time. So spent his mega, I don't know, his mega things. Both of them very smart.
It's I was gonna say, when OG got the mega health, mega energy is quite frequently valuable. You can use it to sequence break energy doors. You can use it to do a lot of stuff. Mega health is not useful as often. It really only matters if you need to damage boost. And so it was a good awareness by OG. I mean, we've seen at least once in this tournament that actually multiple times that long energy cell underwater be very valuable. So it's nice to OG to get it out of the way. It's also indicative of his master level play, because that's absolutely out of standard logic. But in master, it might be. Well, actually, it's not in Master either. But the point is that OG makes some more risky plays more commonly.
What I already noticed is that Marlin isn't checking that many pickups that early in the game. I mean, in Blackwood Boars now, he checked both of the pickups. He already could. But, as you...
God.
Okay.
Sorry, that was spooky.
But as you mentioned, he already forgot at least 2 areas in Spirit Caverns he could have gone to.
This is a fascinating strategy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's very tempting as a randomizer runner to check everything you can, but the only thing that really matters is checking trees, and so Marlin is taking that very literally, just spending a lot of time. OG, by the way, tried to make that long jump, and he failed. He's down at the bottom of Blackroot trying to decide what to do. He was able to use a grenade to open up one of the doors and save himself, so this is certainly time loss, but OG didn't have to, you know, reload a save 100 years back or anything like that. So that's clever usage of grenade. Did you see that energy? It went flying.
That energy there is very, very nice to people. I know that.
Someone upped the gravity scale by 1,000 apparently. Anyway, pay attention to the left.
Yeah, Marlin is getting his 3rd tree, so he gets his first clue, and it is the Sunstone and Valley. Okay, they have the grenade, so one common thing is already out of danger there. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, Valley is a big area, which means that there's a large sort of area in which the Sunstone can live. Some of those pickups are behind grenade. Right now, Marlin won't be able to traverse, you know, pretty much of Valley at all. He'll need a lot more skills. But at least he has that knowledge. Like, OG doesn't look that far behind Marlin. But that's because but Marlin's already been to the Charge Flame tree, whereas OG has not.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the pickups Marlin skipped early will pay back sometimes, because he has less keystones, it seems. Yeah, I think so. I don't even really know what the rest of the pickups were. Keystones are very important.
Yeah, to use a cliched line, it is a bold choice, and we will see if it pays off. It's a surprising choice. As with anything in Randomizer, there are sometimes objectively better and worse decisions. Oftentimes there's not, though. And Marlin is pretty much grabbing only a few things along his way and otherwise just rushing what he needs, i.e. trees. That may work out for him if Marlin happens to get lucky and gets the pickups he needs at the trees or near them. But Marlin has already skipped a lot of stuff that OG is almost certainly going to check. For example, the boulder area. Marlin, I believe, had the energy and ability points to save glitch the boulder and decided against it.
Now there's already the point I tried to mention there, because Marlin doesn't have enough keystone to progress to the 4 keystone door on his top right on his screen, while OG will be able to when he get there, to get to the spirit tree.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already some maybe time loss, depending on what Marlin does now. He goes back to Blackroot. He will be checking 1 or 2 pickups he skipped there. I only know the one in the middle section.
Well, there's that, and there's the boulder area.
Oh, the top up there is still there too.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, OG is already down in the safe glitch boulder area.
By the way, I think OG was trying to go for a micro ledge, even though he has wall jump like a little bit ago. I just wanted to say that out loud because I found it amusing. There's double jump. This is not in logic yet. Doing the save glitch to prevent the boulder from killing you is not in logic, which means that double jump, although it's a very, very powerful skill, progression must be somewhere that isn't gated by double jump at the moment. Just a keystone in the main room for Marlin. Marlin hasn't been around the left wall jump loop by the purple spinners. OG has. What else is in logic that neither runner has checked?
Well, the keystone Marlin picked up was his 4th, so he could go to the tree I just mentioned and progress that way through the spider sack area even. Quite well.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, because that's going to open up like a large part of the right, a large chunk of the right side of the map.
I mean, he could even check valley entrance, even though it will be not that nice to him. But there's already a nice area he has opened up for himself now. While OG is right behind him, almost.
Well,
Although there's trees.
it's a lead from Marlin, but it might be a fake lead. It might not. It depends on where everything is. For example, OG has double jump and Marlin doesn't. That means that apart from OG's traversal just being... That's the... Oh, nice save by Marlin. Okay. Heavily mitigated his time loss. So, for example, OG just checked the ability cell, and Marlin alt-R'd out of that area. That's an interesting decision, since I'm almost certain this spider sack area is progression or valley entrance.
He's going back to BRB. What is his plan now?
Yeah, I mean, Marlin hasn't gone down to the boulder area, so I'm assuming that's where he's going. Since I'm fairly certain, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Marlin did check the top and bottom pickups in this zone already. Or maybe
Yes,
he only checked the bottom one.
He just did. He picked up all 3 of these pickups in this area. So he has to go to the boulder area, it seems. Or what is he doing?
It's possible he didn't check this. We'll find out in a second. One way or another, if Marlin does continue down to the Raziel No area, as we call it, he'll get double jump, which will be just a super nice thing. Almost okay.
Wait, why? Oh, he died and lost his keystones down there because it was.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna interrupt you. Check out what OG just found on the right side. Did you see it?
I saw it. It's sunstone. Right in the valley entrance. At least it's a nice sunstone for them. Unlucky for us, because we like people see suffer. But not this seed. Not yet.
Sometimes we like to see people suffer. And it's still possible. I mean, the water vein has not made an appearance yet, nor a clue. The reason that sunstone location is, I think, even more valuable than it might appear is apart from just having the sunstone right, so that's, check that box off. The clue was for Sunstone Valley, and as I was saying earlier, Sunstone is a very large area that OG can now effectively write off unless the water vein is also in Valley, but that's got to be a bit of a relief. It could have been in a much worse spot.
On the other hand, Horo could be in Logic pretty soon. So do we see in Horo clear is the question now. Or do we have to? It's rare, but it's nice.
It could happen. I seriously doubt it, because we'll need many more abilities to be able to get through Horu, and there's so much left of the map that with those abilities, I think Marlin and OG, even OG being the master level player that he is, I can't imagine him going to Horu unless he's just trying to, do something unexpected.
In meantime, Marlin got finally his 4th keystone back. Is he going to save now? Would be nice, thank you. So he will progress down through the valley entrance where OG just was, English, and we'll see where he goes from on there. Wait, did OG get his... How did he get up there? Was it double jump? Wall jump?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he has double jump and wall jump.
I just looked over to the screen and got confused if he picked up something I missed. So.
Yeah, OG is being very thorough, and Marlin had the lead in the early game, but like I said, it was a bit of a fake lead because OG was just being more thorough. As it turns out, this is really starting to pay off for OG. Marlin had to make multiple return trips. Marlin doesn't have double jump, and at this point, he's unlikely to get it, since with access to the spider sack area and then swamp and then all of Grotto, it'll be quite some time, if ever, before Marlin goes back down there. So not having double jump could continue bleeding him time as the seed progresses. And I forgot about this too.
Okay, OG got his first clue. It was Sunstone. It doesn't help him that much, but now he's going back to the Death Gauntlet, the door he opened just before, or very early. And is progressing his way down to Moon Grotto? It should be. But Marlin, in the meantime, got his Sunstone too, so he should be happy about it.
He should. I think Marlin died, but he has a save, so he'll be able to go grab it again. And Marlin can full clear all 3 pickups here, especially if he knows how to do the sort of... Well, he doesn't have double jump, but he can still clear all pickups. I don't know if he will. OG had previously used the Mega Energy to open up the 4 energy door leading through the Frankie Walk area, and he's using it to great effect. And what OG is doing now is in logic, since this area can be reached, although through a more roundabout means. So this is still in logic.
Okay, Marlin gets his Sunstone again after a rough fight. Yeah, OG's going down to Moon Grotto now. Where's Marlin going? He could go to through the Spider Sack area to the swamp entry, or I think it's already called swamp.
Yeah. There's a lot of little miniature zones within the larger zones. Marlin's going to break the floor down to Charge Flame, even though he's been to Charge Flame.
Yeah, but he has to pull down the log there, else he won't get up. So
See, I'm
he
glad
goes to
Marlin
Spider
remembered.
Sack. So he goes to Spider Sack.
He does indeed. So this is an interesting point in a race where we have both runners in zones that the other one has not been to. OG on the right is in Moon Grotto, and Marlin hasn't been there. Grotto is just a particularly dense area, as any rando player will tell you. Marlin is going through Spider Sack, although he won't be able to check everything because he doesn't have double jump, and he doesn't have 4 energy.
So OG is very he's checking almost every pickup he can, even the ones in water where he dies because he can't get out that fast again. Skipping the bridge. We'll see what water vein will be, or vanilla water vein.
I didn't see what it was. Did you?
It looked like experience because he got the level up.
Oh, see, that's good deductive work from you.
It was 19 experience. He's shown it.
Yeah, on the topic of seeing pickups, OG is actually one of the few rando runners who regularly toggles his UI on and off. He said he has it bound to his left stick on controller, which is sort of a curious decision, to be honest. In all skills, like the main, or a more traditional speedrun, disabling the UI disables text boxes, which means you don't have to match, which makes everything faster. Not the case in rando. You can have your health and everything visible, and you just automatically get all dialogue skipped. So there isn't actually a benefit to hiding UI in the randomizer.
So Marlin's going through Spider Sack, hasn't found anything useful yet. He opened the grenade locked door, though he can't check it yet. And OG is checking everything of Moon Grotto still. Still hasn't found anything that useful yet. We'll see where the first progression of both players will be. He found like 3 mapstones, or 2 at least. So mapstone seed maybe. But we'll
Yeah, they've
see
been
there.
getting... Oh god, look at health. I think OG just survived based on health regen and not a whole lot else. Marlin just a moment ago took another death and got sent back up to the start of the spider area. So Marlin, apart from playing the seed in a slightly unorthodox fashion, skipping the number of things that he has skipped so far, has taken a number of deaths too, and I think they're starting to add up. OG also, with that double jump pickup that he got from the boulder area, is able to, as you said, pretty much full clear this area. If Marlin was in OG's shoes right now without double jump, he would be able to get far, far fewer pickups.
So Marlin now is getting... I don't know. There aren't that many pickups in the areas he's running around currently. But I don't know, from in my thought process, it would be that the way Marlin goes is the more logical one, because OG has used his Mega Energy to open the 4 energy door, and I for myself wouldn't know how to go into Grotto at this point. So we see 2 different playstyles already. There are 2 very different playstyles for this rando, which is something nice to see both sides of the coin. I'll say that.
Yeah, it certainly had some variety. There's charge jump for OG. He got it in the Keystones just before the 2 energy door in Grotto. So now OG already had better verticality, now has way more verticality than that, and getting charge jump, excuse me, is a very valuable pickup because if you get something like the Sorrow teleporter, it gives you potentially very fast access to the left side of the map, potentially.
Meanwhile, Marlin is only on wall jump and his plant breakage. Oh, I've seen that. OG found the Goomon seal right before the double jump tree. Goomon seal isn't that useful. We will see in the future, but Water Vein is still unknown. Still heading somewhere.
We might get a clue for it. That was OG's 4th tree, so we still need to go get 2 more before we get the 3rd clue, or the 2nd clue, excuse me. If that 2nd clue is Water Vein, then that's great. If it's not, then that means the Water Vein clue isn't going to be showing up until tree 9. Of course, it's always possible that one of the runners just finds the Water Vein at random, as both already found the Sunstone at random. But time will tell. I have to say, OG at this point is clearing the map much more efficiently, pretty much just due to skills, but also due to the fact that OG used the Mega Energy way earlier in the seed to break into Grotto early. Even though, as I said, Grotto was still in sequence, he did it without going through this area that Marlin's in. And I think that paid off since Grotto's so dense.
Yeah, Marlin, on the other hand, isn't finding that much useful stuff. He gets some keystones here and there, but that's it almost. Not really any skills or anything he could really need right now, since, as mentioned, only wall jump and plant breakage. That won't bring you that far.
Yeah, and Marlin is like still skipping pickups. He only had 1 health around the little U of poison water. Marlin could have made a save to restore health and maybe get down there. I don't recall whether Marlin has health regen or not, but Marlin didn't. So maybe that's something, maybe it's not. But like, check out how efficiently OG is clearing everything, and he got bash from the health cell. And this is all in logic. I've talked a few times about how OG is familiar with a lot of the more asinine sequence breaks that are possible in this video game. Not the case here. That's all in logic so far.
Marlin's going back to the wall jump area. We mentioned some times now. And we're getting some keystones here. I think that's all that has been here. But do I see it correctly that he has only 1 energy cell? Is that
yes.
correct?
Yes.
So not that many cells he has either.
That's hard. Also took another death to the purple spinners. Has to travel back down there. Has to go over to the left and pull the rock again. So these deaths are certainly adding up for Marlin. Also still at 1 health. So Marlin's going to have to continue being careful. I want to ask you a question. So now that OG has Bash, what does that open up for him as far as skill trees?
Given he has the combination of Bash Grenade, almost everything. I don't know how they would be able to go to the left side currently, but...
Well, you can do the double bash trick on the Frankie and Valley entrance to stomp the peg.
Yeah, but I don't think that's in logic.
No, but I don't think that logic is going to hold OG back. He's already broken out of logic a number of times. I might be wrong, but I don't think so.
Well, he currently is trying to go to the swamp area using Bash and his charge jump. So that's another point. I doubt that is in the logic either. At least what I've been told. Could have been changed. Could have been different. But yeah, OG's going to the swamp area where you get his storm tree, but the frog always dies. So he's liking water.
That time, OG made a save that's closer, so he can try this trick as many times as he needs to. OG is bashing the frog and then waiting, which is dangerous because that frog like almost always runs away from you. Got it into position that time and is going to dip underwater to check. Just an ability cell this time. I also want to point out Marlin actually opened up his map. If you ever see a randomizer player open their map, that's potentially bad news. It could just be a check, but it's maybe bad news. So I want to say this as well. If you look at the skills that OG has, one of which is charge jump, but OG has forgotten that he has charge jump. OG has double jump, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to interrupt with a comment. So go on.
OG got double jump, and that was a very valuable pickup in the early game. But when OG found double jump in the boulder area, it was out of sequence. So the intended path must have been to go around the spider sack area into grotto, and then eventually find charge jump at that keystone before the keystone door. And then charge jump would give you the verticality you need to get past the boulder, get double jump, and retroactively everything else becomes in logic. So it's pretty fascinating as far as paying attention to what Marlin can and cannot do. At this point, it's effectively all gated by going down to grotto. If Marlin goes down to grotto and goes to double jump, he will, find his way through the seed.
Meanwhile, OG got his glide from the storm tree, which will be pretty useful in Sorrow, at least in Sorrow. That will easy up some things. Maybe he gets Wound Restored too, so the whole valley area will be pretty easy. And Marlin still hasn't found anything, and I guess some desperation is slowly kicking in on his side, where he doesn't really know what he can do, what he forgot, since he's still pretty staffed on everything.
Yeah, Marlin is not only starved, but he's about to try a difficult trick, got sniped by the frog and sent back to the Grove TP. We have a bit of a high five right now between Marlin and OG, both of them heading into here, although they're doing it for different reasons. Marlin is going up top to get this pickup the long way. OG can do it the easy way. He has to dip back down to stomp the peg, though. There is a barricade you cannot cross without going out of bounds unless you stomp the peg.
Or make the frog stomp the peg, as you mentioned. Did OG check the plant?
I think he did the first time. I'm not 100% certain, but I think he did. You can hit it with a grenade from the ground, even.
Okay, because I'm not sure if both even checked it. But Marlin's, yeah, as I said, slowly he's picking up the 1-2 pickups in every area he could have thought of. But
this is not easy. This is possible and in logic with wall jump only, but you have to be very precise in order to make these jumps without other movement skills. Look how much easier it is for OG with the advantage he has in abilities. OG is even starting to skip some pickups, so he might view himself as being in full go mode.
Full go mode except water vein, yeah.
Oh yeah. Full go mode, yeah. Except for water vein. OG can't check this particular pickup since he doesn't have stomp and he doesn't have climb charge jump. He could choose to do this. He's going to use bash grenades to head up top. Maybe skipping the little underwater pickup by OG was a mistake, or maybe it was intentional. Hard to say.
Well, there isn't that much OG needs to progress much more since he's in Valley now. He has almost everything he needs to do it, at least in the hard way, which he is certainly capable of, since he mostly plays Master Seeds. But for now, he's doing the Valley area. I don't know where he's going next. Maybe Misty. Soa will be a bit hard for him to reach. But,
yeah, OG's heading over here. Good awareness. That's impressive. I was going to say OG doesn't have stomp, right? So he can't stomp the rocks as usual. That means that ordinarily he would have to do fast stompless, which is a hard trick in itself, but especially hard for OG because he's on controller. And aiming that shot on controller, let me tell you from experience, is not the easiest thing in the world. But OG has the Sunstone. Getting the Sunstone causes that particular frog that we call the Wilhelm frog to spawn into existence, and you can use his projectile. Good job by OG.
Marlin's trying to go into Grotto now, doing Iceless. A trick that looks pretty easy, but is very difficult.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Almost every Ori speedrunner can tell you they don't like Iceless. It's not easy, even though it's just a single jump, but it's difficult.
Yeah, well, what was I going to say?
He doesn't want to try it anymore.
Yeah, Marlin is continually dipping out of these areas. The big play for Marlin right now, not that he can hear me, of course, but the big play for Marlin would be to head into Moon Grotto, which is in logic. Marlin can't do it through the 4 energy door unless he happens to find another mega energy, but he can do it if he goes through, sort of around the intended way. And Marlin has a swamp teleporter. He's just not using it. But, and this is maybe promising, Marlin is heading back into Blackroot. And there's double jump in Blackroot.
The truck said the water vein clue was shown, but I'm not quite sure because I haven't looked at his screen at this moment. If it's wrong, the truck is its truck board.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Marlin just took a huge death. He got sent all the way back to the swamp tip. He has to go through another 10-second teleport animation and head back in. Sorry, you can continue.
Yeah, as I tried to say, a truck said water vein grotto has shown up.
Mhm.
So that's why OG is already back here. As I said, in all honest, I haven't seen it. So either thanks truck or you messed something up, but I think it's thanks.
No, it's thanks. It's gonna be down here. OG's already checked a lot of this. He couldn't finish this vault area since he didn't have the energy before, and OG still doesn't quite have the energy. He has almost 4, but not quite 4. I believe OG also has energy regeneration, but energy regen is ultra slow. So OG is just going to back out of there since he doesn't have the energy, head over to the right, presumably kill the mini-boss, and then if it's the mini-boss, great. If it's not the mini-boss or this keystone, then OG will probably turn around and go back over to the left side. So let me ask you this, while we watch OG fight the mini-boss and Marlin checks his map yet again, what other pickups are there in Grotto besides the ones down here?
What do you mean?
I mean that there's the mini-boss, which OG just backed out of. That might have been a mistake. I'm not actually clear on OG's justification for the altar.
Wait, did he die?
No.
Does the door open again?
He did not die. He altared.
Does the door open again if the boss is still alive?
Yeah, that could potentially soft lock him. That's Hal and Instruct telling us this, and that's accurate.
So let's
yeah,
hope it's not that pickup.
For anyone just who didn't catch what we're talking about, when a runner goes into that area, the door closes behind you, and when you kill the mini boss, it opens again. But with the ability to teleport out using Alt R, that door remains closed. If that's the water vein, OG just soft locked his seed. Now it's still well, I was gonna say it's a small chance at being there, but that's not really true anymore. What I was getting at before when I asked you, Sil, is there's the mini boss pickup. There's the 2 pickups past the 4 energy door on the left side of Grotto, but there's also some pickups in Upper Grotto that haven't been checked yet, and one of those could be the water vein.
Grotto is a pretty big area. On the other hand, where could Marlin go?
Well,
Where
Marlin
could
can
he-
still go to Swamp, and he can still go to Grotto, and he hasn't yet.
Because he's really desperate in some progression on his side, given he, I don't know, almost 20 minutes without anything useful on his side, I guess. So that's pretty... that hurts. Hurts as a player and hurts to watch.
Yeah, I hope that Marlin isn't getting too demoralized. You do see him continue checking him. There's by default in Ori. Pickups don't show up on the map. You actually need to upgrade some abilities in the tree, and since ability points themselves are limited, pretty much every speedrunner, including randomizers, will spend those points on the top tree or to a lesser extent the bottom tree, rather than anything else. OG, meanwhile, is continuing to be very, very thorough. Went back to the Grove Teleporter and is continuing around the Spider Sack. With Bash, he can clear all of these things. Oh, we were wrong. The water vein was in Swamp. That's why.
Water vein swamp, okay.
Okay, cool. So that's good for OG. He wasted a small amount of time going to Grotto, but it means he's not soft locked, or at least almost. I'm trying to think if it's still possible. I don't think he can be soft locked from that anymore.
Well, I don't think there's anything that useful for him behind the mini boss there, so it won't be a problem. But OG has gotten Wind restored, so as I mentioned earlier, Valley is now pretty easy for him, even Sorrow, which he could go to now. Maybe, yeah, without Climb, it's still, he had to go the long way. But almost everything is open for him now.
Yeah, I think that the moment that OG finds the water vein, he will probably kind of be on his merry way to trees. Now, this area that OG's in right now, swamp. He's currently in Hollow Grove. And if he goes over to the left, he's still in Hollow Grove. So either OG just wants more abilities, that's option number one, or OG is maybe a little bit confused about either the clue or the differentiation between the different zones. One way or another, OG is definitely not going to find the water vein here.
Which makes me wonder what he's looking for here currently.
Well, I mean, and there are options. When I say I'm wondering, I'm not saying he's not searching for anything or he's making a mistake. I just don't exactly know what it is.
Yeah, that was my question, because if he got the water vein clue, which is in Swamp, why is he checking all these pickups here? What is he missing for his preferences?
It could be health, since OG is still only at 4 health. Also, OG could be looking for clean water. Since
Final Escape, yeah.
Now, well, could be the final escape. That's one part of it. There's another health regen that'll help. It could also be for checking the underwater pickups in Swamp, because as the name implies, there are a lot of underwater sections with a fair number of pickups that could be hiding the water vein. So OG might need clean water, although the problem there is that we get a water vein clue, we don't get a clean water clue. Which may or may not matter, it depends on exactly where the water vein is.
They recede again, water vein Swamp. So it was, as the truck corrected themselves, but that was the right.
Well, and the other thing is that, I should have realized this a moment ago, and I didn't. OG's already been to the Stomp Tree. I was thinking, oh, OG should just go to Stomp and hope for the best, but OG's already been there, which means that it's now much, much more likely that the water vein is in fact underwater. It doesn't have to be. For example, there's this pickup with Glide and Wind Restore. There's also the Energy Cell way up top in the main swamp area, but it might be underwater. We're just going to have to keep an eye on the right side of the screen until OG finds that water vein.
Well, Marlin has been through this area yet, not the area at the Storm Tree, but this loop OG is in currently. He wasn't able to check every single thing, like, I think he skipped this health cell there. It's the Valley teleport.
I think OG already has it, right? Because he got Feather earlier.
He already had it.
It's kind of unfortunate, but that's
Marlin is finally in Moon Grotto. So he will at least get, I think Charge Jump was there.
Yeah, Charge Jump is the next pickup, but he'll be getting it momentarily. Marlin is still skipping stuff, by the way. For how desperate he is, Marlin has the availability to head down to the Mapstone and the mini-boss. He's hopefully going to go back off to the left and check this Keystone. If he does, he'll get his Charge Jump, and it looks like he's going to, so that's good. That'll be a relief for Marlin, waving his mouse around in either excitement or frustration, or maybe both.
Finally, something useful for him.
Speaking of useful, OG found a health cell, which at this point is quite useful.
Yeah, because as the final mostly because of the final escape, as I mentioned. Marlin finding the Goomon Seal too. Which I don't even know exactly how many health you need to finish the final escape without clean water.
It depends on the skills you have. Yeah, it depends on the skills you have, and it depends on... with Bash, it helps because you can bash off the fish. With Stomp, it's 5. Without Stomp, it's, I think, 6. Although OG effectively has 6 health since he has health regen. So OG is covered for the final escape if he plays it very well. What he's not covered for is one of the 2 vital dungeon keys, the Water Vein. OG hasn't checked the underwater pickups for the obvious reason that he doesn't have clean water, doesn't have ultra defense, and he doesn't have clean water, doesn't have ultra defense, and doesn't have enough health to damage boost. So OG is just going to continue hoping for the best. He's going to go check this grenade pickup and use charge jump to check the other pickup. One of these two might be water vein. If it's not, we might be going for a bit of a swim.
I even think he has to, because he checked everything outside of the stomp area, I guess. I'm fairly sure he did.
Well, I'm saying if it's not this pickup. This is technically a poison swim, but it's a short range one. It's not the water vein. It is a health cell, which isn't as valuable, but it's still nice.
Marlin finally finding his second energy cell. So he has 2 after 42 minutes. What a nice feeling.
Yeah, Marlin has just been to say that he got randoed isn't exactly the right term. But Marlin just, I think, forgot maybe that he could head around the Ginso tree using that rock. I don't want to put, I don't want to make assumptions about Marlin, so I don't know exactly what his thought process was, but we can talk to him. Also deciding to back out, which makes sense because Marlin has already been to the double jump tree. OG is checking his map, and if I had to guess, it's probably for finding
Clean water.
Clean water. And when I say finding clean water, obviously OG can't know which pickup contains it, but OG could be checking for which pickups are in logic. The potentially huge problem there is that it doesn't have to be on the right side of the map. OG got the Valley teleporter, and he has Bash, which means that it could be... Well, I might be wrong about that now that I think about it. Let's break this down, kind of do a sanity check, shall we? OG needs the water vein. The water vein is in swamp. At this point, it's almost certainly underwater, right?
It should
So,
be, yes.
Yeah, so OG's trying to find any pickups that are remaining in logic. OG doesn't have stomp, which means that going to the left side of the map is out of sequence unless you get a left side teleporter, which OG has in the form of the Valley teleporter. But the Valley teleporter alone doesn't open up very many pickups at all, which means that I think I was wrong a moment ago. Even though OG can check a lot of things on the left side of the map, they are not in logic right now, which means that there must be a different form of progression somewhere on the right side of the map, I think. Does that sound correct, or did I mess it up?
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but because he has Glide and Wind Restored, shouldn't Sorrow still be in logic because he could pass the kill area?
You're correct that without Stomp, the kill plane isn't active. That's never in logic to do so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he can do it, but he's not going to right now. OG is going to go to Stomp a different peg, which is rarely seen. It's rare to use that particular Frankie. Nice job by OG to do it. Does have enough health to damage boost down to the cell, which is definitely not clean water, but it's something. Got it out of the way. I guess the other option for OG right now, he either needs water or he needs enough ability points to get ultra defense, or there's a different form of progression that hasn't been found yet. Hard to say exactly what the key to this puzzle is.
Well, after a pretty interesting beginning, the seed has stalled out now. Lin, I think it was an accident. I would doubt if it wasn't.
I have another important piece of information to share. The seed has been interesting so far. It was a lot of progression. It was Marlin ahead and then getting lost for a while. Right now, it's effectively all eyes on the right for OG to try to find that progression. And Dedu, who is both restreaming and helping with tracking, opened up an interesting point, which I'm not 100% sure if this is correct. So don't take what I'm about to say as gospel. But with the Valley teleporter, with Bash, with Glide and Wind Restored, with all those things, it might be in logic to go to the Valley teleporter, go to the right, up and around to where the rocks are, but then rather than breaking the rocks, you just continue floating up into Sorrow, since that would not require abusing the Kuro kill plane. That might be in logic, I'm not certain.
I think. But don't quote me on logic stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say that much about that. Yeah.
Well, the progression has to be somewhere, unless there's a bug in the randomizer, but there isn't, so it has to be somewhere.
OG got the Sorrow Teleporter on the Kuro cell.
That's fascinating. See, I like this play by OG, to be honest. The reason is that logic only matters up to a point. At some level, you have to try to win, which sounds very sort of almost mean, but at some point you have to try to win. OG can win by getting enough health and enough ability points to get ultra defense and just swim through the water, whether or not he has clean water. At this point, OG easily has everything else he needs to finish the seed, except for that dungeon key, and so I think it makes a lot of sense to continue clearing the rest, and then come back and do whatever you have to find that last key.
Okay, Marlin is still on pickup duty. He's still quite a bit behind on...
Wait a minute.
Okay.
You know what's in Logic? Is Horror Field in Logic? We have Charge Jump, Dash, Double Jump, and Glide. I believe all of those things were in Logic. So Horror Fields is in. I bet Clean Water's in Horror Fields.
What? Because they have the Sunstone, what is missing for Ho itself then?
For what, sorry?
For Mount Ho itself. Is it still in Logic 2?
Horu might be in Logic as well. No, they need Stomp, actually, before they can really do much else. I thought that some of the pickups, like in R1, were in Logic, although can you imagine if that was the required progression? And when I say required progression, I mean required progression as far as the specific rules that the standard difficulty randomizer expects you to use. OG, if Clean Water's in R1, I will bet everything in my bank account that OG is not going to go there. He's just going to continue searching. OG is actually continuing being thorough here in Sorrow. It could be thoroughness. It could also be that OG doesn't have a way to break the barricade, but he can through a Terra break if he remembers.
If something is in Ho, then I'm sorry for jinxing the runners. Because I've mentioned it that early.
It happens. As I said, to be honest, even with someone like Marlin, I doubt that he would head into that area. OG just took a death on the right side in Sorrow. It was kind of a costly one, to be honest. Set OG back a number of pickups. He's going to have to go grab this map altar again and the map stone, and then go over back to the left and begin his Sorrow loop a second time. OG is still very, very comfortably in the lead. If you don't believe me, just look at the trackers. OG has currently activated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees, whereas Marlin has only activated 4, and Marlin has fewer skills. He doesn't have Bash, Double Jump, or Glide.
He even has access to less areas than OG2. So there's still some catch-up work from Marlin.
I'll ask you this plainly, Sil. Do you think it's possible, or within the realm of possibility, that Marlin does catch up and takes a victory here?
It depends on how fast OG will find his clean water. If it's even needed in the end, because I'm not 100% sure if he checked everything off Swamp. But I think he's looking for clean water now, and it depends on how fast he'll find it, and on the other hand, how fast Marlin will find it. Since it most likely will go down to that point, to finding the clean, nice blue water.
Clean water would be very, very valuable right now. However, I mean, OG plays Master Seeds. He was actually excited as part of his commentary notes. OG said that he recently got his first sub-hour Master Seed, which is pretty sick. There it is. That's amazing. I'd be very curious to read the logic path, because getting to that point might be in logic, it might not. You on stream can't see this, but there's been a bit of a discussion in our kind of live Discord channel about what may or may not be in logic, and as it turns out, there are a handful of things that are in logic that neither runner has checked, such as the experience next to the wall jump tree, such as Glazer. So there are options. Those options are now obsolete. OG with clean water is going to beeline back to Grotto and then go through the bottom route to Swamp. He will be getting his water vein, I'm sure, before too long.
Well, the discussion isn't only in our Discord chat, it's in the Speed Gaming channel chat too. I have it open. There's some quite of discussion there either.
Yeah, we have different discussions going on both sides. Yeah, check this out. OG even has the ability to breathe underwater, so he doesn't need to worry about his oxygen meter. There are 4 pickups in this underwater section. Which one's going to be the water vein? Not that one. Another pickup off to the left is a keystone, and then there's another keystone, and I believe a map stone, if I recall correctly, off to the right. I just remember the numbers of the pickups. I always forget which is
the
which.
match stone behind the crushers, I think, yeah. But it should be down here, because that would be sigh of relief for OG, finally.
There's the water vein. That's the deepest underwater pickup in Swamp. So OG, with the water vein in his possession, now has pretty much the entire seed available to him. Looks like he is going to go to the Ginso tree first, even though he could, decide to go to some of the other places as well. At this point, with OG having both keys in his possession, it's very important to look at go mode. So what does OG still need? But, well, I guess I'll just ask that. What does OG need?
The only thing it gets into my mind is a way to have, if you see it in the logic's eyes, a way to go to the grenade tree. I mean, OG is very capable of breaking the logic, as already seen quite a few times in the seed. But in logic-wise, you still need a way to get to the grenade tree. Be it either climb, because charge jump is around, be it stomp, or dash in combination. So that's maybe something you could look for. But
Yeah,
I think OG himself is pretty much in go mode now.
I want to interrupt and pay attention over to the left. Marlin actually came down in this boulder area. This is his 3rd death to the boulder. The first one sent him back quite a ways and had to go all the way through Blackroot again. The easiest way to get past this using charge jump is to charge jump sort of back to the left over the top rather than trying to run past it, which is going to be very difficult. Marlin's actually, I think, trying to damage boost. The reason this matters, though, is that double jump is the health cell in this area. Nice job by Marlin to get past it. Still doesn't have bash, so his movement is a little more restricted than his opponent's. But Marlin will be getting his double jump pickup momentarily. That'll be very valuable to his mobility.
I want to see some happy mouse movement there.
I'm guessing we'll see the happiest of mouse movements. So the thing I'm wondering now is Marlin kicking a bit for not checking this later? We can't know, but hopefully we'll get to talk to Marlin later. Also going to use the Frankie to open this. The Frankie is dead from Marlin. It's dead. Why does that matter, Sil?
Because that Frankie doesn't respawn, which will... He broke the block already. You can use the Frankie for that, but on the other hand, you can use this Frankie to break the floor on the way to grenade tree, which I mentioned earlier, to double bash him over the way to break that floor. Now Marlin has to find a way to break that floor by himself, which is climb or stomp in his case now.
It is climb or stomp. See, from Marlin's perspective, he still has a fair number of things in logic. And so it's still almost always advisable to keep that Frankie alive if possible. But Marlin might not be too worried because he might just assume that he'll find stomp or climb. OG has been much, much more thorough than Marlin, though, and OG hasn't found either one. So there are still spots where stomp could be. For example, Lake Ginso Tree, Horror Fields, there are a number of places. If OG didn't find it, I don't know if Marlin's going to find it without some pretty dedicated searching. That's my concern.
Except it is on some tree or something. But to rely on that is always a gamble no one should take. On the other hand, yeah.
Well, I
you
was
are.
going to say breaking into that light grenade area to me is really interesting because I always kind of view the light grenade area as sort of off in its own isolated little region, right? A lot of other skills you can kind of hit in a loop. You can do the grotto loop and the swamp loop. You can go left side. You can go to Sorrow first or Misty first. You can go down to Forlorn. Everything kind of loops on itself. Blackroot is very much almost stapled onto the side of the main world. And I mean that kind of literally because Blackroot was added to the game in the definitive edition, whereas the other areas were not. So it is actually more geographically isolated. As a result, I find it less common for the light grenade area and like Lost Grove specifically to factor into the rest of the logic, since it just doesn't loop in as well. Does that kind of make sense what I'm trying to express?
Yeah, even more so because Blackroot is a very lower Blackroot is a very skill-locked area. You need many skills to progress down there, even more skills to go down there even deeper. And it is an area you have to more or less always visit twice. Since Dash Tree you can go there instantly, and the rest of Blackroot is locked behind many more skills you need. So Blackroot is always a thing for itself. But yes, lower Lost Grove, lower Blackroot, or however you want to call it, for people to understand, it's an area not many people want to visit that often.
Yeah, more practically speaking, by the way, Marlin just got Glide from the Stomp Tree, so we got a skill from a skill tree, just not the vanilla one. Marlin did take a number of deaths. His death count is definitely increasing, and it's been costing him quite a bit of time, allowing OG to take a lead. But yeah, more practically speaking for Randomizer, I always find that you effectively do the light grenade tree anytime you want, since one way or another, you either have to go through Blackroot proper, or you have to teleport back to the boulder area. And so it doesn't really matter when you do it. It's not really going to be any faster than any other time, which means that in a situation like OG's, where he's going to either need to do the sort of crappy double bash trick or find climb or stomp, it does, I think, make some amount of sense for OG to do everything else first and just hope that he happens to find climb along the way and then come back. Of course, he could just do the double bash trick anytime he chooses, but as I said, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but you do have to know how to do it. It's arguably more difficult than the dash version, arguably.
Yes. So Marlin is back in Moon Grotto. Is he checking pickups or is he trying to go away? I think he's checking just pickups. And OG is back in Sorrow. I think he's going his way to the charge jump tree. That should be the play here. Yes.
Yeah, OG's going to the charge jump tree. Nice first try bash glide over those lasers. That's not the easiest trick in the world since it requires pretty precise timing with the grenade. Bash, by the way, I was going to say to Marlin, is the top of the Death Gauntlet roof, which means Marlin should be getting this in just a moment. Well, he got wrecked by the Frankie. That's bad news. I hope that Marlin goes back into there.
It was the health cell there, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, your recollection is accurate. Looks like Marlin is not going to let the deaths deter him. He's going to carry on bravely.
Well, he was almost there, and given he has a charge jump, it would be pretty logical to check that place.
It would. My fear was that Marlin was going to give up and turn around, but he's not, and he's rewarded with bash,
and
tossing maybe a handful of grenades in excitement. OG, though, has 9 out of 10 trees. Is the light grenade tree. He doesn't have stomp. He doesn't have climb to do a climb charge jump. OG does have bash, and his Frankie, as opposed to his opponent, is alive. I'm guessing that OG, especially being as experienced as he is with the absurd things that Master can throw at you, I don't think OG is going to have too much trouble doing this trick. It might take him a few tries, but he'll be able to do it.
And it even looks like he's going for it right now. So now it's all down to his execution of that pretty difficult series of double bashes. Or is he trying? He's not bashing him?
I might be wrong about this. I think it's possible to bait the Frankie over the crushers Oh my god, he did it.
Oh god.
That's not easy. Yeah. Ordinarily, the strat is to do some double bashes and bring the frog over the top. The reason that the double bash thing is hard is that this frog can only survive 4 bashes. It only has that much health. And so you need to sort of carefully time them. Or you could do that trick, which means that, to be honest, I should remember that. I thought you needed bash to do that trick, but you don't.
No,
This
let's
just shows
hope
that
he doesn't
OG
die
is-
on spikes. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's through with that point of the trick now. I just guess he's trying to zombie Ori the way through the laser there.
There are a few ways to get through the laser. Also, I really just want to point out how much I OG making the safety save instantly. Yeah, so OG has a few options. He has 3 ability points, so I'm guessing he's going to zombie Ori. It's not too hard to get a successful zombie Ori with 2. OG could also use triple jump. I don't know if he has triple jump, but he could use triple jump and feather to dodge it. He's going to, I think, maybe remake his save a little bit closer. Nope, he's just going to do it like this. There's 1. Wait for the respawn timer. And there's 2. He's through with 1 left over to skip the cutscene. Well done.
That's almost as clean as you could have get it. All things considered, and the Frankie too. Wait, we found something new.
Unreal. Unreal. Marlin found Dash at the energy cell in the OG was at that area. He wanted to be thorough and he couldn't because he had like 3.75 energy rather than the full 4. So it's not going to cost OG the race or anything like that, but that's just, it's good news for Marlin. That's just hysterical. It's especially good news because Marlin killed his Frankie. Well, actually, I guess that doesn't matter as much, but it's useful to get to the light grenade tree. Disregard what I said about the Frankie. That's irrelevant.
Charge dash works against that floor too. Am I right? It works against at some places, but some walls are different. Meanwhile, OG get his final tree, so he's on his way to Horo. At least he should be. He has Sunstone. He has everything he needs.
Is OG, the master that he is at this video game, going to have any trouble with the final escape, in your opinion?
I don't know how used he is to having a pretty different or pretty difficult escape. But he has clean water, he has bash, he has charge jump, he has everything he needs to end the final escape pretty easily. So I don't think he has that many problems.
I agree. I was going to say I think that this skill set makes it quite easy. OG doesn't even have to watch the Kuro cutscene because he never found Stomp. It's still at large. If I had to guess, it's probably in Horror Fields, but OG's not going to check. Marlin may or may not check. I guess he'll have to do something to get down to Light Grenade eventually.
I just want to mention on the left side, Marlin got the Keystone OG softlocked for himself. It was just a mapstone, so nothing too worryful. Maybe if there's some progression behind mapstones, but that would be at a way higher count. So nothing too bad. Just if people were wondering or interested or curious or whatever words are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just as a heads up.
Yeah,
nothing too bad there.
So OG has made it to the entrance of Mount, heading in, attempting to count his door up attempts. It's historically very difficult to count them, but we'll try. For anyone unfamiliar, this is a frame-perfect trick that lets you skip the entire dungeon, and if you've never seen it before, it looks... Well, he didn't get it first try, but it should be pretty clear when OG gets it. It will look strange. And that's how you know it works.
This... No, damn it.
It'll be one of them pretty shortly. This is frame perfect. As I said, you have to press up on the frame that the game loads. Thankfully, each failed attempt only costs you, what, maybe 3 or 4 seconds, however long it takes exactly to reload. I believe this has been 4 attempts for OG. It's not easy to count these.
On the left
I wonder.
Side. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, I wonder if OG's worried. Of course, the opponents can't watch each other for obvious reasons. This is randomizer, and that wouldn't be fair. Neither runner has finished an SRL. OG did get his door up that time. I wonder if he's nervous about Marlin at all. We'll have to check with him.
Well, the race is going on for a bit over an hour yet, so if he's looking at SRL, maybe you would get worried at some points, especially the longer the time goes. But from a commentator's perspective, this seed was pretty rough. So, what I was trying to mention on the left-hand side, Marlin is getting the Glades energy cell, the very famous in the community. It's no progression this time. All the memes are down for this race. But that's a pickup many people forget, and many people, I don't know how to say, lost quite some time in this tourney even to that single pickup there.
Yeah. Well, OG is almost done with the escape. As expected, he's able to go through quite cleanly. It's really Bash and Feather that makes this really easy. OG has cleaned water, so he's not going to take damage. Even if he did take damage, it wouldn't matter. OG also has no choice but to end the final escape in a more traditional fashion. He cannot grenade jump since he doesn't have climb, and he can't do fish strats without dash. But OG is through. Nonetheless, his timer will be ending in roughly a minute and 20 seconds, putting him at about a 109, a little over 109-ish. GG to OG pulling through a seed that was not that giving.
Yeah. If I'm allowed to say that, if I would have been in Marlin's position, I would have forfeited that seat at like 20 or 30 minutes. So, already respect for even playing this one, because damn, that one didn't look nice.
This seed was it gave some nice skills, like double jump was relatively early and technically through the logic, but was somewhat early through the boulder area. The hard part about this seed is that if you follow the logic to a T as Marlin did, and which could maybe be a justification for why Marlin skipped the boulder area when he did, the intended progression path was you get some of the stuff at the beginning, including grenade and charge flame and grenade. Then you go all the way to Grotto through the Spirit Caverns area and get charge jump. Then you turn all the way around, go back to the boulder area, get double jump. From there you go to the Death Gauntlets and get glide, or get bash, excuse me. Then with all of that, you can go and get clean water, I think, through Sorrow. Then you go to Swamp, which gets, well, no, because glide's in there. Okay, the logic path eludes me, but the point is that although some skills were in not unreasonable spots, in order to get them required a lot of repeated traversals through the world, unless you do a lot of sequence breaking. And I think that I might be wrong, but I think that's probably what's holding Marlin up, is this seed's logic is a little bit obscured.
Sadly, we have no spoiler for the tournament seeds, but that would be definitely one you would like to read through and maybe get your mind on. Especially, I guess that would be a seed, also be a seed that people would send around and say, play this one if you want to torture yourself or something.
Sure. Well, Marlin on the left is continuing on, can now see, if he's looking at the SRL window, that OG has finished. Marlin can't go into the Ginso tree because he doesn't have the water vein. Remember, the water vein was that rather deep underwater pickup in Swamp. Marlin did find his wind restored at the health cell in the Spider Coves area, took a death. Marlin has had, I think, a double-digit number of rough deaths at this point, and they certainly are costly. I don't know if it's what cost him the race. It's hard to objectively measure these things. That's like looking at a sports game and saying that the entire race was down to, or an entire match was down to one decision. Sometimes that's hard to determine, but the deaths are certainly costing Marlin a lot of time. Not helped, by the way, by the fact that he's still low on health and energy.
He got his Valley Teleporter. He is happy about it. I think he's heading straight to that place. But to add on your point there, Marlin is playing very risky with his health also. Like as you just saw, he was running through the swamp area with even less than 1 HP, and he didn't even refill his health at the spirit well there. So maybe he's doing it just now. I forgot how it was throughout the whole race, but that was something maybe a bit more carefulness would be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, making safety saves in the randomizer is a skill. It might not sound like a skill. It might just be like, well, stop playing so risky. But the thing about this game is that save points require energy, the same resource that you use to open doors and do charge flames and do a lot of different things. And energy can be very limited, as are the energy crystals in the world that you can use to restore it. So it isn't just about time. You do have to learn how to properly manage everything. Marlin, by the way, is going for the fast stompless trick. We'll see if his shot was accurate or not. Looks like it was not. Marlin, I think, also might be... again, I don't know if he's flustered. I can't read his mind. But Marlin could have just floated up since the Kuro kill plane isn't active. Marlin could have also done a rocket jump off of the frogs since he has both bash and stomp. Instead, Marlin went around the more traditional way as if he sort of only had bash. Marlin could also do the same trick that OG did, which is to use the Wilhelm Frog's projectile to break the rocks. But that's something that can be very, very easy to forget in the heat of the moment.
At least he got his fast stompless now, but I wanted to mention, maybe he has in his head that he doesn't have stomp, and that's his only way he knows he can do I don't know the word for that. He can remove Kuro from that place, so that would be maybe his only way he had in his head. Get his extra double jump out of that, at least something.
Yeah,
so it even was quad jump. Nice.
Yeah, a very good point being brought up by Dedu, which is something we mentioned, saying again, Marlin's frog is dead. If you remember OG a little bit ago, to get to the light grenade tree, didn't have climb, didn't have stomp, but he was able to bait the Frankie to break the floor for him. Marlin doesn't have that luxury because that particular Frankie doesn't respawn, which means that in order to finish this seed, Marlin is going to have to find either climb or stomp. There is no possible alternative. He must find one of those two skills, one of the only two skills that he doesn't have, by the way.
So I have to check on the Discord real quick. Yeah. Marlin, meanwhile, heading through Misty, isn't checking this hidden... I don't know, it was an ability center, I think? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not visiting every area that often. What is he doing? What is this? First changing language, because why not? But what is his plan there? Did he die?
Marlin just... No, it's cool. Marlin just... Marlin needed to... us to see the game in a different language. He's helping us become more cultured. He's helping me become more cultured. Thank you, Marlin. I appreciate it.
And basically, that's the same reason I'm playing in this tourney with my game on German, because there are so many language people use this just for the I don't know why, and that's my reason. I just put my game on German there, even though the maybe as an interesting fact, the pickups and everything are still on English, so don't worry. We will still be able to read that.
Is that randomizer specific, or in the game are they in English?
I think it's because of the randomizer. Because just the pickups, the text there that pops up with you when you get a pickup, that is in English. But the rest itself isn't is localized.
Cool. Well, Marlin took some more deaths getting to the climb tree, but he made it now. That leaves Marlin with only 2 trees remaining. The easy one is charge jump. The hard one is light grenade. With that, though, I'm going to go ahead and pull in our winner, OG. Hey, OG, welcome.
Hey, Grim. Thank you.
GG on your victory. Before I ask you anything specific, how did you feel about the seed? Were you nervous at the end?
Oh my god, I was so nervous at the end. Those however many door walks were so stressful. It's unbelievable. Because I felt like there were a couple of places where I lost time. Like, specifically thinking that Grotto was a part of Swamp for God knows what reason, and then for leaving Sorrow as soon as I got the clean water instead of making the smarter call, which was probably just to head to the tree before ultiring.
Sure. Well, let me ask you something else then. On the topic of clean water, even, you spent a lot of time continuing to search for a lot of stuff in this seed, even after you had, you know, a series of go mode items like bash and feather and charge jump. Besides clean water, was there anything you were searching for specifically, like when you were going through Spider Sack area, for example?
I was really hoping to find Dash somewhere. Spider Sack. Going through Spider Sack, I don't think I'd had the clue by that point, so I was just looking for water vein. I didn't have my I didn't have like the map open that shows exactly where each boundary is, so I think I explored a little bit in Grove rather than Swamp. So I just wanted to not be shocked by anything and not go, oh wow, really? That Swamp? You serious? I didn't find it because it was there. You know, so I wanted to make sure that I was really thorough and that I definitely found the water vein. And eventually I went, alright, it's just gotta be underwater. So let's just go to trees and see if that does anything.
Sure. Well, Sil, do you have any questions for OG?
I would just ask, but I don't know. How much of your mass experience played in this seed? Because we've seen you doing quite some, I don't know, playing around with the logic in this one. It paid out for you, but it could have been horribly wrong. Is it just because you have too much master seeds in your head, or what was the thought process on these ones?
It's probably just too much master seeds in my head. It's gonna bite me. It's gonna bite me soon with these seeds. I pretty much haven't done any standard clues practice. Like right before this, I got my first sub-hour master seed. So it's like, you know, going through Valley without having Stomp and going through into Lower Blackroot into Grenade area without Stomp. They're things that I do semi-regularly, so I guess I'm comfortable sort of just going for it and not going, oh, I need to go find Stomp. Or I need to go find Dash or whatever. I can just go do it.
Sure. Well, what I want to ask you next, OG, is this match was potentially risky for you, given your current record. If you had lost, you would have been out of bracket contention. Now you're not. How confident or unconfident do you feel about your potential future opponents, whoever they may be?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure exactly how to rate myself because this seed felt really good, and I felt like I felt like I could have been playing people of significantly higher skill than myself and potentially still beaten them. I feel like this was the sort of seed that I would excel at. But my first two seeds against Skull and Ico, seeds that I definitely weren't very quick at. So I think it just depends on the seed that I get more than who I'm playing against.
Sure. Well, Sil, any more questions? Otherwise, I've got one more.
No, go ahead.
I just want to ask if what's the worst master trick? That's my question.
What's the worst?
What's the worst master trick?
Like actually worst or like?
You can define worst
really
however
bad.
you want.
The worst
What's your most
one?
dreaded scenario in a master seed?
Oh god.
Or at least what's a terrible scenario?
The swim into sort of Stomp area is really annoying because it's not something that typically crosses my mind. But something that I enjoy that everybody else hates is the Frankie lure down into wall jump with only bash and wall jump. Everybody else hates it. I enjoy it. It's pretty fun.
You know what? That is fair. Well, yeah, GG on your victory. That was a, in some ways, sort of a difficult seed. It wasn't, you know, it
That
took a
was a
while
seed.
before it, yeah, before it revealed its secrets. But you played through and you found everything you needed to find, including clean water. By the way, how the heck was clean water there? I was trying to work through the logic. I don't know what it was, to be honest.
I don't know. I just went, whatever. Let's just pick a tree. Let's whatever. Let's go up into Sorrow, and there it was. I think I had the Gumon seal, so
Yes, you did.
I mean, yeah, it could have very easily been in Forlorn.
Right, that was something we forgot in our discussion.
Yeah. Well, either way, GG and good luck on your future matches, and thanks for chatting with.
Thank you. Good luck with the rest of the commentary.
Thank you.
Right.
So what have we missed from Marlin still while we've been chatting?
So, Marlin has been at Sorrow in the meantime, getting his charge jump tree, while he had his Water Rain Swamp clue, and he checked Swamp again, where he now found out that that he needs clean water. We know it is in Sorrow. He doesn't know, and he almost has his whole map open now. So that will maybe take a moment until he gets back to Sorrow there, especially since he skipped the area clean water was in. He got the rocket jump, frog shot to break the roof on the first area. So we'll have to see what he does and how fast he will find clean water.
We will see. Marlin did get ultra defense. Thank you to who told. Thank you to for telling me that. That means that Marlin has, I think, 5 health. I'll verify when he closes his map screen. But Marlin has ultra defense. Ordinarily, he has 6 HP. Okay, I was wrong. 6 HP. Ordinarily, the poison water deals 1 damage per second. With ultra defense, it only deals half a damage per second, and Marlin has 2 health regens, which means that Marlin can effectively take 12 hits before he dies. And then once he's underwater, in theory, if he has enough energy, he can make as many saves as he needs to restore back to full health. What that means is that, and I don't know the numbers offhand, I think that it's possible right now with his current health for Marlin to find everything underwater, even the really far away one. It won't be easy, but I think he could do it if he wanted to.
I'm not quite sure about these numbers either. He will most likely be able to check at least 2 pickups. I don't know if he's able to get the map stone where clean water was, where the water vein was in. But it doesn't look like he's thinking about that possibility, and still hoping to find clean water somewhere soonish.
Well, the other thing, and we've mentioned this multiple times, but I'm going to say it again because it's that important. Light Grenade exists. Light Grenade is barricaded not only by lasers and monkeys and such, but by a barricade that cannot be broken with Marlin's current skill set without, climb or stomp since he killed his Frankie. It is technically possible to do a very long chain of double bashes off a spider projectile from the main part of Blackroot, but Marlin is not going to do that. Nobody should do that. It's a silly trick, and but it exists. It is possible.
I can't even imagine doing that. That would be so painful.
I've done it. It's hard. It requires approximately 1 trillion double bashes in a row. Is I think the number. Sigma can verify.
I can't even do one, so that's something. Marlin is back in Valley. Got his Sorrow teleporter. I see gliding up to Sorrow again to check that place. Getting the Wilhelm screen too, just because.
Clean water is in Sorrow. It
Yes.
was, I think, the ability cell that you have to pull the lever to open the door. Does that sound right to you? Like
I
off
think
to
it
the
was,
left?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's clean water. If Marlin is coming into Sorrow, he's already been to the charge jump tree, which is kind of good for the prospects of finding clean water because it means it's more likely that Marlin will end up going to the left and checking pickups instead. And if Marlin goes left, he has no reason to not be thorough at this point in the seed, which means he will find his clean water, which will in turn get him Water Vein, which will in turn get him access to Ginso. For OG, that was go mode. For Marlin, it won't be. Climb could be almost anywhere. That's the thing. Stomp could be in fewer places. That said, Marlin actually is typing in SRL. He's going to decide to quit the seed.
Oh.
So we will not be finding out where Climb and or Stomp are today. That's okay. GG to Marlin. GG to Marlin for pushing through as far as he did.
Yeah, really my respect on that one. As I said, I would have gave up some very early there. But
Marlin fought through deaths and he fought through a lot of stuff. Made it as far as he did. I'm not sure whether we're going to interview Marlin. I want to see whether he's interested. I think in the interest of time, we will likely just go ahead and close out this particular broadcast. We already interviewed OG. We already talked about the fact that he is 2-2, which means that OG has one more round of Swiss remaining. We don't know who he's going to face because new Swiss pairings for each week can't be generated until the end of that week when everyone has played their seeds, so we won't know who OG faces until the end of this coming Sunday. Marlin, however, is 1-3 now, which means he's unfortunately out of contention for the elimination bracket, although he does have one more Swiss match next week anyway if he chooses to play it. Otherwise, I think that will about do it for us right now. Thank you very much to Dedu for both restreaming and tracking. Thank you to Hal for tracking, and still, that was fun commentating with you.
Yeah, Grim, that was a nice that was a nice seat in some way, but definitely an interesting one.
Could have been worse.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, so on the main Speed Gaming channel, there's nothing right away. In about an hour, 57-ish minutes from now, there's going to be a Cuphead. Is at the tournament. I'm looking at the schedule. Yeah, the Cuphead All Bosses tournament will be on this channel. So there's about an hour gap where there's nothing on Speed Gaming 1. For Ori specifically, there are 3 more Ori matches today. The next one is at 3 o'clock Eastern time, and that's going to be on Speed Gaming as well. So if anyone enjoyed this race, we're going to have more matches coming to you this afternoon on Speed Gaming 1. So thank you very much for watching, everyone.
See you around.